She wasn't supposed to be home that night, but the flight got canceled, and fate wanted her to see it. There they were, her boyfriend and a woman from his office. Naked, tangled, asleep like nothing was wrong. She didn't scream, didn't cry, just stood there. For one long, quiet minute, she memorized the scene. The curve of his back, the lipstick on the sheets. And then she backed out of the room. Not a sound, not a word, just a plan already forming in her head. By sunrise, she had a strategy. She didn't need to ruin him with rage. She'd use something colder, ambition. She opened her laptop and searched the company's leadership board. She read everything, who worked there, how they moved up. He had bragged about the job for years, made her feel small. Now, that job was her blueprint. She updated her resume like a blade being sharpened. No one saw this coming, not even her. 3 months later, she walked through their doors. Fresh suit, new name on the resume, reinvented. She didn't apply to his department. She aimed higher. Interviews, assessments, corporate war games. She'd pass everyone like she was born for it. Nobody cared about her past, only her power. By the time they offered her a leadership role, she smiled once. Just once. She accepted the job, knowing exactly who reported to her. And day one was coming fast. The office buzzed as she was introduced. Everyone, meet your new department head. Deceit. She stood tall, calm, unreadable. Then she saw him, standing frozen by the coffee machine. His jaw clenched. His hand shook. She met his eyes and didn't blink. He opened his mouth to speak. She moved on without a glance. Not rage, not panic, just precision. In this world, silence was dominance, and she had all of it now. The first meeting was surgical. She ran it like a general, sharp, efficient, unshakable. He sat at the far end, eyes down, voice shaky. She called on him once. His answer fumbled. "Next time, come prepared," she said without blinking. Everyone noticed. No one said a word. Power had shifted, violently, silently. She wasn't just leading the room. She was undoing everything he thought he controlled. And he knew it. It started with an email. Performance review. Immediate action required. He stared at the subject line like it was a threat. Because it was. His numbers were down. His behavior sloppy. Every missed deadline, every lazy shortcut, documented. She didn't fabricate a thing. She didn't need to. He had built the noose. She was just tightening it. He slammed the laptop shut, sweating. The fall had already begun, and she was watching. The moment came without ceremony. She signed the termination form with steady hands. No emotion, no hesitation. Not because she was heartless, but because he'd underestimated her heart. He once said she was too soft for corporate. Funny how quiet he was now. She sent the email. Meeting. 10 a.m. Mandatory. 3 months ago, he had power over her. Now she controlled his future. And this was only phase 1. He walked into the room already sweating. Her sat beside her, neutral but prepared. She slid the paper forward. "You're being let go, effective immediately." He scoffed, trying to play it off. "You're doing this because..." She cut him off. "Because your performance is unacceptable." His face twisted, part disbelief, part rage. "You can't..." "I already did." Carr nodded. It was official. He wasn't just fired. He was erased. He walked past the desks he used to brag at. No one said a word. Some avoided eye contact. Others looked relieved. He clutched the box like it could shield his shame. Inside, A coffee mug, a framed photo, and a pile of burned bridges. She watched from the glass, unreadable, not proud, not cruel, just done. He glanced back once. She didn't move. That was the last time they ever made eye contact, and it said everything she never had to. Weeks later, she walked into the room like she owned it, not as someone's girlfriend, not as anyone's revenge story, but as a rising force in the industry. She shook hands with executives who once ignored her emails. They knew her name now, whispered with respect and a little fear. One leaned in and asked, "Is it true what you did?" She smiled, sipped her drink, and didn't answer. The myth was bigger than the moment, and she knew how to use it. Because power, once tasted, doesn't fade. He wasn't adjusting well. The startup he applied to ghosted him. His references were unavailable. The industry was smaller than he thought. Word had spread about his laziness, his arrogance, his downfall. He blamed her, of course, but deep down he knew. She didn't ruin him. He just finally got what he earned. For the first time, he had to start from zero, without charm, without control, without her. Late one night, a familiar name landed on her desk. His resume, desperate, polished, empty. He applied to one of their subsidiaries. He had no idea. She stared at it for a full minute, then chuckled. No revenge email, no rejection letter, just silence, the loudest NO he'd ever receive. She closed the file and moved on, because the past was below her now, and power doesn't chase ghosts. It builds empires out of what once broke you. She didn't tell her story to hurt anyone. She told it to free someone else. At the Women in Leadership Summit, her name was on the marquee. She stood tall, voice steady, surrounded by applause. "You don't have to fight fire with fire," she said. "Sometimes you outgrow the whole building." There you go. The crowd went silent, moved, inspired, awake. She wasn't just a survivor. She was a symbol, not of heartbreak, but of reinvention. And no one could take that from her now. Love returned, softer this time. No grand declarations, just quiet loyalty. He didn't flinch at her story. He admired it. "You don't scare me," he said once, laughing. She replied, "Good. I'm not here to be feared, just respected." And he did, deeply, completely. They moved slow, with intention. There were no masks between them, only truth. This wasn't a rebound. It was real, and it came after she stopped looking for it. The promotion came faster than she expected. CEO, 3 letters that once felt like a fantasy. Now it was etched in metal and mounted on her wall. Not because she played nice, because she played smart. Her team respected her, followed her, believed in her. The girl who walked out of that bedroom? Gone. In her place stood a woman who built an empire from betrayal. She didn't just climb the ladder, she owned it now, and every step had been worth it. Even the broken ones. Some nights, she stood alone at the top. No noise, just wind and memory. She didn't think about him anymore. She thought about how far she'd come without ever screaming. Her silence had been louder than any revenge plot. She didn't break things. She built higher. Every betrayal, every bruise, turned into blueprints. The city below didn't know her story, but it stood on the bones of it. And that was enough. He saw her face again, in a window he couldn't ignore. The headline read, "CEO disrupts industry with power and poise." Her name in bold, her smile effortless. He stood there too long. People walked past him. She didn't look angry. She looked free. He mouthed her name once, like a question. But the answer was already clear. She had become untouchable. Not because he broke her, but because she built herself without him. She closed the door quietly, like punctuation. Another day. Another decision only she could make. She didn't need a parade or applause. Just that moment of stillness where she knew who she was. Not his ex. Not the girl he underestimated. A builder. A strategist. A storm in a suit. Some people chase revenge. She outgrew the game entirely. Because power isn't about noise. It's about who gets the last word and never says it out loud.